Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey from the back corners of the Hollywood backlot inside of DCA. Last month, I did a DCA expansion video. I said, hey, this is very niche content. If you want me to do more of these, just let me know. And oh, did you let me know? So today what we're gonna be looking at is a plan that got scrapped. And I don't want you to focus on the fact that this plan was once canceled, because nothing at Disneyland, no idea, ever fully goes away. We see so many Disneyland ideas reinvented over and over again. So don't focus on,
but that's already been canceled.
Focus on, this plan was once approved by Disney, kind of shot down by the city of Anaheim, but it was shot down in a moment when Anaheim didn't know what it was like to be without Disney for 440 days. So a lot has changed since these plans got scrapped. I'm not saying everything we're looking at today will 100% happen, but bits and pieces, I believe, are very, very possible and a big part of the Disneyland Resort's future. And even if it's all wrong, it's always fun to armchair Imagineer. Let's look at the canceled parking garage on the eastern side of the Disneyland Resort and how that could affect DCA and literally the entire Disney Resort. Let's get going. Let's jump on the other side of this wall and work our way from the edge of the bus loading zone to where all of this was once gonna happen. Man, is the park busy. I mean, absolutely busy. But we know that Disney loves the parks being busy. Constant revenue, any way they can grow and scale them only means more of the same. So as I'm walking out of Disney's California Adventure, the once proposed Eastern Gateway project had a lot to do with Disney's California Adventure, because as we looked at last month in this series, the area outside of the Hollywood backlot, which is already a massive area, that could be blown out, and whatever new buildings are built there would be moved further back to where the buses unload and drop off, making that already massive area even larger. And I ask you, if you move past this moment in this video, do not focus on the fact that this is a canceled plan. Disney has canceled so many plans before, but brought them back in a different version. So today, in no means am I saying this is gonna happen and this idea is coming back. What I'm telling you is that parts of this idea very much could still be in play. Parts of this idea could expand and grow into something entirely different. So by studying this, we are looking at, these are all things that Disney was willing to do. How could it pivot and change into the future? So this series requires a bit of imagination and a bit of positivity. If you don't possess those things, goodbye. So where I'm walking around right now is a massive footprint that exists just outside of the gates of DCA and Disneyland. And if we look at this from above, this is a massive footprint if it was annexed into what already exists. Now, the part that we want to focus on is at one point in Disney's history, they were willing to give up this space, because I think that the Bob Iger mindset is everything that touches the parks can become a part of the parks. And everything that we do off-site can continue to remain off-site. So I do see a version of Disney where they know that this area touches the dead Hollywood backlot. The area on this side is a part of the dead Tomorrowland. So literally the most problematic parts of Disneyland are on each side of this parcel of land. So inevitably, one day, each of those lands is gonna have to get reimagined. Will it get reimagined with this bus drop-off spot included in it? Because there's a lot of different ways that you can bring people in on buses, but there's only one way you can expand Tomorrowland and the Hollywood backlot. So if you look at it that way, I hope you can start to see the potential of all of this instead of,
but it was canceled.
My man.
Mr. Brickey, how are you, sir?
How are you doing? All of that area in there, that could easily be annexed into the two most problematic parts of the park. And I'm sure at some point, Disney would love to do that, raise the capacity, make more money off of that land, what they're doing, because the buses don't necessarily need to be there. Let's look at what that plan was and see what we can learn for the future. And if you're having a hard time visualizing just how much space is on the other side of Harbor, make sure to go back and watch last month's video. Brickey?
Brickey.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Good. You guys getting ready to go rip the park?
We watch you all the time.
Yes. Getting ready to go rip the park?
Gonna go rip the park. park.
Nice. What's your number one priority today?
Maybe get on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, you look like a couple of pirates.
We're going home today.
Oh, it's last day?
Yeah, day 5.
Day 5. Have you had a good trip?
Excellent.
Nice.
It's
I love that.
First time in 60 years.
First time in 60 years. Well, welcome back home. I hope you had a good one.
We did.
Please don't wait 60 more.
No, is there Disney in heaven? I know,
Hey,
right?
Heaven is Disney.
Exactly.
See you guys.
Okay.
Have
All
fun.
right.
Thanks
Have
for
a
saying
good
hi.
day.
So over here, it's a lot more room than what you think. Make sure to watch last month's video. I'll put it up again where you can get a good idea of that footprint and how it could be even bigger. So we are directly across from the Disneyland Resort. That's where we just were, right through there. This is the space in question that I know Disney would love to annex as part of the parks. And we are looking for the address 1530 because that's where the Carousel Hotel was. So the Tropicana is 1540, and up there on the distance I can see the Camelot is 1520. So this spot right in here, perfectly manicured, this would appear to be where the Carousel Inn once lived. And you can see that it's gated off. It's been turned into parking because Disney purchased this and it was taken down in 2018 for this proposed plan. So the space directly behind me would be where, back in the distance, would be a massive 6-story parking structure that guests would take a skyway walking over harbor. So no longer would you have to deal with the red lights and waiting to cross a very, very busy street that's popped up around Disneyland, much like how we go across a land bridge over at downtown Disney, where most people never even notice that they're walking across the bridge. So for me, it's pretty fascinating to imagine walking from here over inside the Disneyland Resort, where we come into it kind of like we do with downtown Disney, where the immersion is all around us, it kind of bottlenecks down, and then we're dumped out into the Esplanade. Would have been fascinating to see how this comes together, but the most important part is how they would have used the space where currently the buses are coming and going, because the plan was all the buses would go back there. And now our plan is we're going to try to go back there. So this is the neighboring Camelot Hotel, where you can see they also went with that medieval vibe, trying as much as possible to pair the hotel with the vibes over at Disneyland. You know, the good neighbor hotels, and I don't even know if this is a good neighbor hotel, they tried really hard to make it feel like they were close to the experience. Worthy effort. But as we make it to the very back end of the Camelot, we can see just how massive that space is. I mean, it is just full on open space that could easily hold the 6,800 parking spots and the bus drop off and pick up with shuttles, Uber, basically all transportation on the east side of Disneyland would happen right on the other side of these shrubs. Which directly below me, this is the area we were just standing in front of, and this is where it would dump out into that parking lot. So imagine in here a 6-story structure, 6,800 spots, bus drop off, pickup, Uber, taxis, you name it. All the guests would go from here and walk over the skyway into the park. All the guests, that is, except for differently abled folks, which would take their own shuttle to a proprietary drop-off point. What's hard to see from where we're at is just how far back this parking lot goes, because right here, this would have been the corner of the parking lot, and this would have been the 20-foot sky bridge. But it goes pretty far back, as we're going to find out as we discover more in today's video. We look really far off in the distance. You can see the AMC. When we get down to the AMC, that'll give you an idea of just how long and massive the structure was going to be. All right, so let's talk about one of the major reasons why this got canceled, and it is that sky bridge going over harbor. The local businesses did not like the idea of Disney having their guests circumvent harbor by just going directly over it and into the park. If you notice, on the west side of the park, there's no businesses whatsoever other than Disney businesses, and then it becomes Walnut Street, which is residential. This side is where there is actually businesses. I have my personal doubts on just how much that actually would have affected these businesses. Like, people are always going to find a way to get to McDonald's. That's one thing that's been proven. So I don't know if it would totally affect it, but I also don't know, would that vote get shot down today if this came back for Disneyland Forward? Because now Anaheim has a very different reality of what it's like to not have the Disneyland Resort for 440 days. Anaheim was hurting without Disney, and they now know more than ever what that reality is like. So I do feel like if a different plan was submitted, it's possible that it could go through. I don't think that this is quite over just yet. It is crazy to think that from standing right here, I can hear Utopia happening right on the other side of harbor, and the tips of Space Mountain are just right there. It's pretty amazing how close Disneyland is to the real world and how far away it feels when you're inside of it. You can also hear the Disneyland Railroad going by. All of this feels like it doesn't exist when you're inside of there. Absolutely crazy. I think it's pretty easy to understand why Disney would want to expand over where the buses go. And it comes down to price per square foot. Parking is something that Disney does as an amenity. The bus shuttles and everything, that's just an amenity. Look at that right there. Love it. Hey, harbor's wild. Parking is a service that they provide for the guests. It's part of the overhead. But theme park square footage is square footage that makes Disney money through theme park tickets, through merchandise, through foods, through upgrades like Genie Plus. Like, if they can expand out into where the buses go, all of that square footage, yes, it's more good times for us, but it's more money for the Disney Corporation. That's why through this series of videos, I want to discover all of the pockets outside of Disneyland so we can easily understand, yes, just how much land there is, how many possibilities there are, and how many different ways Disneyland Forward could scale and grow in the next couple of generations. If any of this happens, it'll be exciting, and if none of it happens, it's just good use of imagination. But documenting all these bizarre parts of the resort will come in handy in the future, as we'll have all this historical footage to contrast A and B, now to whatever happens then. So now let's walk down Manchester, which is adjacent to harbor. We're going to go around the back side of where that parking structure was at to give you a good idea of its proximity to easily getting off the highway, falling right into the parking garage, then taking that land bridge over. They had a pretty seamless plan, and the only reason why they would invest this money and go this hard on building a new parking garage, yes, 6,800 spaces is tempting, but it was about expanding the theme parks and making more money. So already rolling up on this back corner, you can see that we are crazy close to the highway in this proposed location. Like I said last month, this is bizarrely niche Disney content. If you enjoy this, please subscribe to the channel. Please let me know in the comments below, do you want to see this series keep going? Because I am all about looking at the future of the resort and how it could scale, but I need your help. I need you to show up because nobody's looking for this content. But I'll keep making it if you keep showing up. So please subscribe and let me know below. You want this series to keep going? You want to keep looking at all the ways that Disneyland Resort could grow? Because I know I sure do. So over on the other side of me is I-5, which is the big expressway, and we can now tell that we're officially on Disney property again. because of the little Mickey, and this over here would be the edge of that parking lot. And it would appear that I just ran out of sidewalk. Man, it's loud over here. Aha! We have a sidewalk again. And we also have a view back there, way back there, way back there. That is the balcony that we were standing on to film the parking lot. So we are once again at the edge of the parking lot, but now we're at the back edge. So we are now at the very back edge of the parking lot. I'm going to record the entire walk just to get an idea of how long it is. And as I said before, when we get to that AMC theater, we'll then have our southernmost border mapped out. So essentially, like what I've done with Cotino down in Rancho Mirage, just walking the outer perimeter, getting an idea of how big of a piece of land we're talking about. But this is a massive footprint that I'm sure Disney would love to use for something more than just cast member parking. I'm sure they'd also love to go 7 stories high, have it jammed up with those 6,800 parking spaces so they can open up all that extra square footage for both of the resorts. All right, so we are getting ready to hit the corner. It's a very odd shaped piece of land. As I understand it, right around in here, you would be coming off of I-5 and the bus pickup turnstiles would be in this general area here. So that would be such an easier way to get into the park. And keep in mind, this is where this gets important. If they're going to turn the Toy Story parking lot into a Disney Springs type environment, where are they going to put all of those cars? So for the naysayers, I do believe that this is somehow still on the table, because with that plan, whether they do a Disney Springs or what I believe they're going to do, a third gate, they're going to need more parking. 6,800 spots right here, conveniently off the edge of the highway, allowing you to get on and off in the morning and the evening so much more efficiently. That's a dream for many Disney fans. It's also probably a dream for the city of Anaheim, taking out so much of the Disney congestion that happens around Catella and Harbor. All right, landscape has shifted. That was a solid 2.5 minute walk. We're now on this back edge, and I still believe that this footprint keeps going because the AMC is way over here on my distance. So we can see Guardians, we can see parking lot all around us here. And then we can also see the signs, cast member entrance only, no pedestrian entrance. So we're gonna keep rolling on this outer edge sidewalk. There's another long view of just how deep this bad boy is. And then there's that Disney landscaping of privacy. 2 rows of bushes, a fence inside of there, these lower bushes, the trees, all perfectly Disney landscaped, but also designed as stairs to keep you away and to keep you out of their property. Both beautiful and efficient. I love it. So this parking garage is pretty centrally located. Theoretical parking garage. It's not even built yet. Or do we know it'll ever be built? But it's pretty centrally located between Disneyland, DCA, but also the third major piece of land straight up here, which would be the Toy Story parking lot. And does it get converted over into more shopping and an entertainment district? I vote no, because OC Vibe will be just down the road. No reason to compete with Orange County. And I believe the reason why OC Vibe got approved is they got headwinds that Disney was thinking about putting a third theme park right down the street. So they came up with the idea of let's the city of Anaheim get some money from Orange County, from Southern California. Let us be the ones to build the Disney Springs of the West Coast. Because once Disney uses this Toy Story land, they're kind of out of pieces on the chessboard to play. And my mind, through common sense, can stack all that up and figure out if that's not happened, it's a pretty damn good theory. So now we have a clean shot all the way over to DCA. You can see Guardians right there on the horizon. This just gives you an idea of how long this block is if it's completely gutted and cleared out. This is a massive, massive piece of land. And in our comp art, I believe that this land was labeled as future expansion for other amenities. But right here, we have garden walk, we have a long block, and then we're right over to the proposed third gate. So hopefully, standing here in a pile of dirt, looking at comp art, looking at excitement for the future, looking at what Disney had planned from the past, trying to figure out what they could do in the future, hopefully you can do a little bit of imagination math and know that historically, no ideas at Disney go away. So why would this one? Because this is kind of the future of everything right here in this space. So over in here is the AMC movie theater, and then all of this space would be that proposed parking garage. Would live right in there, and I believe give people the ability to go to one of 3 Disney parks. All right, friends, I have thrown a lot of information, design theory, and pretty good B-roll at you to give an idea of where all this could go. If you're enjoying this series, comment below, let me know, because next time we're gonna look at how Garden Walk, I believe, could hold a very important part to what Disney has planned. These are sort of my own theories that are a bit out there, but they're all based on common sense, following things that Disney's done before, following the math of Anaheim, and following the idea of expansion, good business, and the most efficient way to do what they want to do. Scale the Disneyland Resort, Walt's original theme park, and as Bob Iger said, we have way more land and opportunity for growth in Anaheim than most people know. How about we become not those most people and become the ones in the know and try to solve it ourselves? Thank you so much for watching. Comment below if you want more of these. And by the way, here is the first video in this series where I showed you the expansion of DCA. I can't wait to do this again next month. I'll show up. If you tell me, you'll show up too. See you real soon. I love this shit. I just do. I love it. Whole lot of future. Whole lot of future opportunities and good times exist right here. Can't wait till we get to this part of the story.